than this. I can feel them eye rolling in the background. They've heard this 5 million times. It's time to speak to two stars of ice dancing who took our breath away in 1984, skating to this. They're world and European champions 4 times, 7 times British champions, Olympic bronze medalists, Olympic champions from Sarajevo almost 40 years ago. Still one of the most watched moments on TV in British sporting history. 24 million?
24 million.
What? They're back on our screens at the moment as judges for the new series of ITV's Dancing on Ice. It's Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean. Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, I mean, have you heard that 6 million or 7 million times?
I think it's more than that, actually. Yeah, no, it's
Many times.
Yeah, it's still a piece of music that that we love. Actually, it's become part of our life and history. So it's done a lot for us. So we have good feelings for it.
Tell us where you are today, because it is a big day in the week for Dancing on Ice.
Yes, we're at Bovingdon Studios preparing for the show this evening. So
If you hear music in the background, that's some of the rehearsals going on right now.
How involved are you in the routines? Because obviously we see you on the Sunday night and you're there and you have your opinions and all the rest of it. But surely in the run-up to it, I mean, I know some of the other judges, so I can say this, you've got a bit more hands-on experience, haven't you?
Yeah, well, when the show first came out for the first 9 series, we used to choreograph everything rather. But now, since it's restarted, over the last 6 seasons, we've become judges. So we're less about the choreography. We do, at the end of each series, the showcases, we do all the choreography for that. But as judges, I mean, we're obviously looking at the skating as well as the performance. But I think we have an inside track on the smoke and mirrors and who can skate and who's struggling.
The smoke and mirrors, I don't know what you mean.
Now, listen, as someone with a prosthetic leg, I've always used it as an excuse to not ice skate. I've tried once or twice. It hasn't gone particularly well. I still have memories of a garbage bin that I took out when I was about 14 that was by the side of the rink. But last series, you had Steph Reed, the Paralympian, on skating on a prosthetic, and you've now got rid of any excuse I had to not take up the sport. How impressed were you with her and what she managed to do on a prosthetic?
We also had Heather Mills as well.
Of course.
Yeah. And Heather was actually quite funny because she'd have her prosthetics with a skate already on, but she'd come with it sticking out of her rucksack. Just pull it out and put it on. But no, I mean, you have no excuses now.
no, definitely not.
They've coped so well and did so wonderfully.
Yeah.
It just shows you what can be done.
Well, and that is the beauty of having someone, whether it's Strictly or whether it's Dancing on Ice, someone with a disability, any disability, because for able-bodied people, they watch and they go, oh, that's amazing. They can do so much more than I realised. But it also makes people like me watch and go, oh, my God, I can do that.
Yes.
I didn't think there was a way that I could.
Yes.
So it actually gives me a way into the sport as well.
Now, and I don't want to push you forward too much for Dancing on Ice, but I know...
It's already marked down. It's already marked down. The invitation's coming.
But it's a very supportive environment, isn't it? And I know you joke about having a prosthetic, but the point is you are very proud of the fact that you inspire other people, and you could do that. You should.
Absolutely. I mean, that for me, playing disability rugby league is my Strictly or Dancing on Ice. It's my my way into the thing that I really want to do and I love doing that lets other people have a crack at it as well.
Could you cope with his competitive nature, Jayne? How competitive is it down there this series?
It's good. We see more competitiveness in the sports people because that's what they're used to in their discipline. And I mean, it's good to have a bit of competitiveness because that pushes people. Everyone gets on really well, as I'm sure when you had the Strictly experience, you become like a team, a family. But at the same time, you are wanting to get better all the time. So there is that little air of competitiveness, which is a good thing.
And presumably you guys want them to get better. Like, you must be pushing people because you want it to look good. You want to showcase the sport. You want to do things that create a moment, don't you? Do you feel the pressure as well?
Oh yeah, no, we want them to excel. At the end of the day, it's an entertainment show as well, and we want people to go out there and do their best, and for the viewers at home to be entertained. But at the same time, there's entertainment in different forms. There's people that excel, and there's people that can be outrageous and perform in different ways as well. And so I think, the combination of all that coming together makes for a good show.
The thing about Dancing on Ice, more than any of the other similar shows in the same genre, is it has the danger element, doesn't it? You can do as many cha-cha-chas and foxtrots as you like. You're not going to smash your head on ice at speed, are you?
No, there's so much jeopardy involved. And the thing is, the celebrities that go out there, you can practice as much as you want, but you don't know what's going to happen on the night. That slippy stuff and those blades, they're always going to do their own thing now and then. And so it's being on top of that and being, it's the practice that makes perfect. I mean, that's a cliche, but it's true. But even for us, we still fall over.
I'd actually be counting on that. I'm not sure if you're aware of an Australian ice skating gold medalist by the name of Stephen Bradbury, who famously won gold when everybody else in the race in front of him fell over.
That was his speed skating, yeah.
If I was to do Dancing on Ice, that's the attitude I'd take in.
It's all about just staying in the game, isn't it?
Talk to me about Niall Wilson, because in terms of people doing things that are risky and pushing themselves, I know Niall personally and professionally. We're very proud of him, but he is a boy who is going on that show to do big things. Are you having to hold him back?
Yeah, no, he's an Olympian through and through. And we knew that the first day because we have something called a boot camp where we get everybody on the ice for the first time they haven't skated. And Niall, we gave him an exercise and he couldn't quite get it to begin with, but he was like a dog with a bone. He would not let it go until he could do it.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave the ice. He just kept repeating it over and over until he got it. And we could see then that, he's going to be a great competitor because he's got the discipline as well and he's got good work ethic. It's been great to see his progress. He's amazing, really. Last week was exciting because we saw him do some of his gymnastics for the first time, but it blended perfectly well within the routine. So, we're very excited to watch him each week because he's just getting better and better, isn't he?
Yep.
And like you guys, Niall, and he was on our show a few weeks ago talking about it, and he's competitive and he's a sports person. He's got the gymnastics element, but like you guys, he gets the entertainment value. He knows he needs to put on a show, doesn't he? And there is an element of that. Like, you've got to be a real performer, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I think he's a big time on the TikTok, isn't he, as well? He's got a lot of followers, so he knows that he's got to entertain his audience as well as do the stuff. And he's really sort of bringing that together. And I think each week he's understanding that more and more. And the more you can skate, I mean, it sounds obvious, but the better you can skate, the more you can do. And that's what he's finding. Each week he's getting a little bit better, which is allowing him to do more adventurous stuff.
Helen and I were just discussing off air and on air how competitive we both are, and then suggested that, as you well know, sports people always, especially elite professional sports people, are the most competitive people on the planet, and that never leaves. Do you still have that competitive edge in your lives?
I think so, but in a way, it's more being competitive with yourself, because when we work together and create a routine, we want it to get better each time. And, if we feel like we're not quite getting something, it could be just me, you just keep wanting to do it over and over again, just to get it right.
I was going to say something that we find these days, though, that it's more to do with our brain power of remembering things sometimes. As you get older, what did we do? Do you remember that? How did we do that? Inappropriate skating.
And I know everyone says it, but your friendship is so remarkable, isn't it? Because lots of people, I've got Adam, this isn't saying anything about our working relationship. We've worked together for a year. We've had a lovely time. But you know what? When it's done, it'll be done. I don't see us hanging out in like 40 years' time. Whereas you guys, you seem to have such a great... I'm pushing a button here. And guys are like, no.
Son, we're going to deal with this later.
You seem to get on still so well. And do you still enjoy working together, dancing together, performing together, choreographing?
I think we've just become a part of each other's lives so much now that we're like family. That in next year, it's almost 50 years that we've been skating together. So it's a lifetime, and we've grown up from kids to middle-aged being parents, and now becoming bus pass owners.
But that's it. You live a lot of life.
Not grandparents yet.
No.
Because when I was growing up watching you guys, as the nation did, and rewatching, I remember saying to my parents, I couldn't believe that you weren't married. I really found, as like a teenager, I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, but they must be married. Look at them. My mum was like, no, that's not how it works.
And now that you've done Strictly, you get it, right?
Oh yeah, I would never marry Gorka.
That's probably a good thing that we're not married, like you say, because
we don't take it home.
No.
Have you, all great bands have fallings out. Do you have have you had moments where you haven't, what's the longest you've gone without speaking to each other?
Oh, hours. Only hours.
Hours, because we're not in the same place at the same time.
But we've never had an argument whereby, well, I'm not going to speak to you for a week or a month or something like that.
No.
We almost speak to each other almost every day.
I think as when we were younger and training for competition, we kind of had this theory that the more time if we spent time on the ice arguing about something, our competitors, usually Russian skaters, they're somewhere training and we're standing arguing, so we're wasting time.
Yeah.
So we never argued on the ice. We never took it off the ice either. So, we do disagree on certain things, but it's in a sensible way, if you like.
And that's part of a working relationship, isn't it? And there's no way that you could go through and achieve what you do if you don't have those moments where you go, what's this about? I'm going to use this as an example this season, Adam, okay? No, listen, we're allowed to argue. Right?
There are going to be moments on air when I'm going to look at you and just in the back of my head, I'm going to hear, I'm not going to hang out with you in 40 years' time.
I might do, you never know. Right, can we talk about Michael Crawford? I know this is a bit of a gear change, but it's one of those things that I heard about you guys. Is it true that he taught you a bit about acting on and off the ice?
Yeah, definitely.
When we finished our World Championships in 1982, we were looking for a new theme. And I went to the Russian circus. We were on tour and we were in Moscow. Jayne went to the Bolshoi and I went to the circus, and just came away with this idea that we could set that on ice. And so when we got back to London, we were looking around what was on circus based, and Barnum was playing, and Michael Crawford was in Barnum. And we went to watch the show, and he looks through the curtains at the beginning, apparently, and saw us there and invited us back just to say hello afterwards. And that's when I jumped in and said, we've got this idea about doing it on ice. And he was so proactive in helping us with some tricks and presentation. And
getting the music orchestrated.
And then he helped us get the music orchestrated as well. So he's very integral going forward into 1983 when we did Barnum on Ice.
And like you say, an important thing that he did was talk to us about acting and how we present certain things. And that was so helpful for us.
And he helped you with Bolero, didn't he?
No.
Oh.
No.
No, he doesn't get any credit for that. No.
I tell you what, I'm glad.
What the good thing was, when we wanted to do Bolero, we got close, and he said that it's not something that I can help you with.
He could help.
Right.
So what was nice, he sort of stepped back from that and allowed us to, move forward.
I'm so glad we've heard the whole story there, because in my head, I had projected that you had seen him on Some Mothers Do Have Him and thought, this is the guy I want choreographing our dancing routine.
Yeah, this is the guy that's going to teach us how to make a mess of things, right?
It was just so coincidental, and these things happen in life that, we wanted to do this theme, and Barnum was playing in the West End, and he was the star of the show. And it was just that timing. We didn't know that beforehand. When Chris came up with the idea of circus, it was only when we got back to the UK that we realised he was on in the West End. And as Chris said, he invited us backstage. So it was, pure coincidence.
But it's testament to what you guys did on the ice, isn't it? That he looked through the curtains and saw you. You're such national treasures, national icons, that he looked at you and straight away was like, oh, I need to meet them. I need to chat to them, which kind of says so much about what you did. I mean, your routine stopped the nation. Everybody... I was born in '83. Yeah, I see your costumes, the music. It's an incredible legacy you guys have created.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know it at the time, but it was just that it was the honesty, I think, of what we were doing, of the routine and the music, the costumes, and everything seemed to align. And we've been growing a reputation from 1981 when we won our first World Championships, leading each year up to an Olympics. So I think we'd sort of brought a lot of people, a nation with us, winning. And then when we went to the Olympics, it was just a question of, well, they're going to win, but how well are they going to win? What's the scores going to be? And so from that point of view, it put a lot of pressure on us.
Yeah, we didn't want to hear that, but... luckily, we did get perfect scores, which in those days it was out of 6. So
it wasn't that lucky. It was a lot of practice as well.
It was a lot.
But it's interesting because Adam Peaty said the same when he went to Rio to do the 50. It wasn't a question of is he going to win? It was how much is he going to win by? And, it's so interesting to hear him talk about that and how it changes the experience. It's almost like you get a little bit shortchanged because it's not like you're going in there it's a different mindset. Is it a good place to be or not? Going into it thinking, oh, well, I'm going to win, but by how much?
We never think that. But we felt it from people's expectations.
And the media as well.
But like we talked about, it's our own self-pressure that we put on ourselves of wanting to make it the best we can make it. And, to the degree of when we were training, we would still train on Christmas Day. We trained through colds and injuries and periods. And because that could happen at the Olympics, that one chance, that one day on that particular 4 minutes that you get to go out and do it. If things are not perfectly aligned, you still got to be able to go out and deliver a performance that you can say that was a good performance. And so we practiced through as much adversity as we could leading up to that.
So like, as Chris said, so if one of us had a cold, we would still train and run through our routine because then you know what it felt like. And then having done that, as he said, you know you can still do it on the day.
And with hindsight, because you moved away, then you moved away from the sport in terms of doing the Olympics and the competitive level, and you went back, didn't you, in '94 to the Olympics. Now that you've got the years of distance, what was it the right thing to do? Why did you do it? How do you look back at that?
It was a big thing, to actually do the Olympics, have a 10-year gap, and then go back.
Turning professional. Doing our own show.
And then going back to Olympics 10 years later. It's a big ask. I don't think there are a lot of athletes that can have that time span. But what we've been doing was touring and skating and still doing what we were doing. And so that's why we felt that we could still do that. And as an experience, I'm glad we did it. It wasn't a win that we would have liked to have won, but we were still up there in, 3rd place. And so as a measure for ourselves, it was a positive experience. And I think it just gave us even more longevity.
Yeah, because we, right after the Olympics in '94, we again went on tour, put our company together and went on tour. And it was probably one of the most successful ones because we had lots of people wanting to support us and saying, the famous headline, "You were robbed." We was robbed. And I can't tell you how many young children, and I think it was a school project, they came to the show and instead
gold medals for us.
Instead of giving flowers, they'd made gold medals, and I collected so many gold medals.
Cardboard gold medals.
Yeah, it was fun.
But when if someone ever writes a film about you two's career and lives, I imagine that'll be a scene going back into the call room in 1994, because obviously going in and seeing all your competitors in 1984, very different atmosphere to going back in '94, because you'd be very much the mark.
No, and there's sort of a bit of an anti-sentiment as well, I think, like, why are they coming back? But it was just a measure for us. Yeah, the national body wanted to invite some of the skaters back because I think it'd been losing a bit of popularity, and they wanted
TV.
For TV, and sort of bring back the likes of the Katarina Witts and Brian Boitanos and some Russians.
I think
and
there was probably about 6 or 8 of us returning competitors.
Yeah.
What do you want Dancing on Ice to do, though? Do you want it to entertain and get people excited about ice dancing, or do you want to spark another generation of Torvill and Deans?
Oh, both. Absolutely. We love the idea that, after Christmas is over and those cold January nights, that Dancing on Ice then comes on. And so we like to entertain. But a lot of children are inspired to then, let's go to the rink and have a go and see what it feels like. So it's just getting them out onto the ice and encouraging them into the ice rinks. Because also at Christmas time, you'll notice a lot of these seasonal rinks that go up all over the place. And people love going to those at Christmas, skating outdoors with the penguins and mulled wine, not the kids, of course.
Don't get those two mixed up.
You said before that someone should make a movie. In my head, a movie's been made. Has a movie not been made? Am I just imagining that?
You're not imagining it. No, it has been made, yes. It came about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, because I thought I was confusing it with Blades of Glory.
That's what happened to my little finger. We were doing Blades of Glory move and broke my finger.
No, really?
That's not true.
No, that's not.
I was going to ask what happened to your finger. No, for me, I was like, that moment of them going back. But I want to move on to talking about Lila Fia, Lewis Gibson.
Yeah, no, we're excited about those. They just came second at the European Championships. So their ascendance it's going up, isn't it? They're rising. And
Next Olympics.
Well, we've got a World Championships coming up in about 4 weeks. And at the moment, they could finish 4th, but they might get 3rd. But we're 2 years away from our next round of Olympics. And so there are real hopefuls of medaling, and if not, winning a gold, which is about time.
What are the surnames? Fia and Gibson?
Yes.
It doesn't have the ring of Torvill and Dean, I've got to say. Fia and Gibson sound like a cop duo from the 80s.
You've been saying it for like 40 years, Torvill and Dean. You work on it for 40 years. Rings.
But do you have involvement with them?
Chris has.
We've crossed paths and we've spoken. They actually performed on Dancing on Ice. Was it last year or the year before?
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but they've always said that we've inspired them to go on and followed our careers, and obviously they'd like to do the same, and we'd like to see that happen too.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it must be exciting. Those moments that you wait for. It just brings the sport back into the best possible light, doesn't it? Back onto the radar in the way that you guys have probably grafted for.
Sport that's successful then has money put into the infrastructure of it, and we've been in the shadows for a while, so we need some exposure to get money back into the sport.
It's a challenging time, though, isn't it? There's so much going on with swimming pools in terms of energy bills and ice rinks and all the rest of it. But I have no doubt Dancing on Ice will be doing its thing. You're back on ITV tonight. Who should we be looking out for tonight?
Can I just say, Chris has choreographed a duet for 2 of our professional skaters, and they're going to be performing tonight. So look out for that. But then also...
Oh, gosh, there's 10 other skaters that are all vying. But Niall's up there, Carly's up there, Viv's up there, Molly's up there. So there's lots to... And Joey's coming out. You might see him a bit of a matador tonight as well. So lots of excitement.
Good luck to us all. We know Joey, so we can say that. 6:25 on ITV, so plenty to look out for, especially that duet. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.
Go look after that finger.